Customer harassment. Green t-shirt employee with Down syndrome didn't realize Keanu Reeves was clearly observing. It was a quiet afternoon at a small cafe in Los Angeles, where Keanu Reeves had decided to enjoy a cup of coffee in peace. Wearing a simple black hoodie and jeans, he blended in effortlessly with the crowd. He wasn't looking for attention, just a moment to relax. As he sat in the corner sipping his coffee, he noticed something disturbing. A young employee, a kind-looking man with Down syndrome, was being berated by a rude customer. The employee, wearing a green uniform t-shirt, was trying his best to remain polite, but the customer, a tall, arrogant businessman, kept shouting, "This is unacceptable. I said oat milk, not regular milk. Are you even listening?" the man barked. The young employee looked flustered. "I'm sorry, sir. I can fix it for you. I don't want excuses. People like you shouldn't even have jobs like this." The man snapped, his voice dripping with contempt. Keanu's grip on his coffee cup tightened. His jaw clenched. He had seen many things in his life, violence in movies, injustice in the real world, but nothing angered him more than cruelty toward those who didn't deserve it. Slowly, Keanu stood up. The cafe fell silent as his towering figure approached the counter. The businessman turned, looking annoyed, until he realized who was standing in front of him. "Keanu Reeves?" The man stammered, his confidence faltering. Keanu's voice was calm but firm. "Yeah. And I just saw what you did." The man swallowed hard. People around them were now recording. The young employee looked confused but hopeful. Keanu continued, "You think it's okay to talk to people like that? To treat someone with disrespect just because they're doing their job? I didn't mean—" "Yeah, you did." Keanu stepped closer. "You think your coffee order is more important than treating someone with kindness? Let me tell you something. This young man is working hard. He's doing his best, and you're just showing the world who you really are." The businessman, now visibly sweating, grabbed his coffee and muttered, "Whatever," before rushing out of the cafe, his face red with embarrassment. Keanu turned to the employee and smiled. "Hey man, you okay?" The young worker nodded, his eyes wide. "Yeah, thank you, Mr. Reeves." Keanu chuckled. "Just Keanu is fine. And hey, I'll take another coffee, however you make it. I trust you." The cafe erupted into applause as Keanu sat back down, knowing he had made a difference that day. Customer harassment. Green t-shirt employee with Down syndrome didn't realize Keanu Reeves was clearly observing. Part 2. The cafe buzzed with whispers and excitement. People were still processing what had just happened. Keanu Reeves, the Hollywood legend, had stepped in like a real-life action hero to defend the young employee. The employee, whose name tag read Lucas, still looked a little shaken but also deeply touched. His hands trembled slightly as he prepared Keanu's second cup of coffee. "Don't worry, Lucas," Keanu said with a reassuring smile. "Take your time." Lucas nodded, breathing deeply, and focused on making the coffee just right. Keanu leaned on the counter, watching him with a sense of admiration. He could see the dedication in the young man's eyes, the way he carefully measured everything, making sure it was perfect. As Lucas handed him the cup, Keanu took a sip and grinned. "Perfect," he said. Lucas beamed. Just then, the cafe manager, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes, rushed out from the back. "Oh my God, Mr. Reeves, I just heard what happened. I'm so sorry for the behavior of that customer." "Lucas, are you all right?" "I'm okay," Lucas said softly, but his smile showed that he was more than just okay. Keanu turned to the manager. "You've got a great employee here. Lucas is doing his job with patience and kindness, and that's more than I can say for some people." The manager nodded proudly. "He's one of our best." Then she hesitated before asking, "Would you mind if we took a picture?" It would mean a lot to Lucas. Keanu looked at Lucas. "What do you think, buddy? You up for a picture?" Lucas's eyes widened. "Really? With you?" Keanu chuckled. "Yeah, with me. But only if I get to be in a picture with you." Lucas blushed but nodded excitedly. One of the other baristas grabbed a phone, and Keanu threw an arm around Lucas's shoulder, giving a thumbs up as Lucas smiled the biggest smile of his life. As the camera clicked, the cafe burst into applause again. But Keanu wasn't done yet. He pulled out his wallet and handed the manager a $100 bill. "For the team," he said. "Maybe get them something nice after work." "Oh, Mr. Reeves, you don't have to." "I want to," Keanu insisted. Then he turned to Lucas. "Keep being awesome, man." Lucas nodded enthusiastically. You too, Keanu. As Keanu walked toward the door, another customer who had witnessed everything stood up and called out, "Hey Keanu, you're a real-life John Wick." Keanu stopped, turned slightly and smirked. "Nah," he said, "John Wick wouldn't have been so nice." With that he walked out, leaving the entire cafe with a story they would never forget. And for Lucas, it was the best day of his life. Customer harassment. Green t-shirt employee with Down syndrome didn't realize Keanu Reeves was clearly observing. Part 3. As Keanu Reeves stepped out of the cafe, he put on his sunglasses and took a deep breath. The sun was shining, the air was crisp, but something about that moment still lingered in his mind. The way Lucas had been treated, it didn't sit right with him. Just as he was about to get on his motorcycle, he heard the cafe door swing open behind him. "Mr. Reeves." It was Lucas, jogging toward him, slightly out of breath. Keanu turned around, smiling. "What's up, buddy?" Lucas hesitated for a second, then said, "I just wanted to say, that was the coolest thing ever. You didn't have to stand up for me, but you did." Keanu kneeled slightly so they were at eye level. "Lucas, everyone deserves respect. And when I see someone being treated unfairly, I have to say something. You're doing an amazing job in there, and don't let anyone make you feel otherwise, alright?" Lucas nodded, his confidence growing. "Alright?" Just then, a black luxury car screeched to a stop near the curb. The door flew open and out stepped the arrogant businessman from earlier, looking flustered and embarrassed. Keanu tensed, preparing for another confrontation, but what happened next surprised everyone. I just wanted to apologize," the man stammered. He wasn't looking at Keanu, he was looking directly at Lucas. "I was having a bad day and I took it out on you. That wasn't fair. I was a jerk and I'm really sorry." Lucas blinked in shock. The cafe manager had come outside as well, along with some customers all watching. Keanu studied the man's face. He was sweating, nervous, clearly out of his comfort zone. But he also seemed genuine. Lucas took a deep breath, then, in the purest way possible, smiled and said, "It's okay. I forgive you." The businessman's shoulders relaxed in relief. "Thank you," he said, then glanced at Keanu as if silently acknowledging him. Keanu gave him a small nod, then patted Lucas on the shoulder. "You've got a big heart, Lucas," Keanu said. "Bigger than most people I've met." Lucas grinned. "Maybe one day I'll be as cool as you." Keanu laughed. "Buddy, I think you're the cool one." With that, Keanu hopped onto his motorcycle, revved the engine, and gave one last salute to the cafe crew. As he rode off into the distance, Lucas stood there, feeling like the hero of his own story, and in that moment, he was. Customer harassment. Green t-shirt, employee with Down syndrome, didn't realize Keanu Reeves was clearly observing. Part 4. Lucas watched as Keanu Reeves rode off on his motorcycle, the engine's low growl fading into the distance. The cafe was still buzzing with excitement. Customers whispered to each other, some still watching the businessman who had just apologized. The manager placed a hand on Lucas's shoulder. "That was pretty amazing," she said. "Not just what Keanu did, but you, Lucas. The way you forgave him." Lucas looked down for a moment, then back up with a small smile. "My mom always says, holding on to anger just makes you tired, and I don't like being tired." The manager chuckled. "That's a good way to look at it." The businessman, still feeling awkward, cleared his throat. I'd like to buy a round of drinks for everyone here, as an apology for my behavior earlier." A few people clapped politely, while others nodded in approval. The tension had shifted. The once hostile customer was now just another human trying to make things right. Lucas, feeling a little bolder, looked up at him. "Do you want to sit down? Maybe have a coffee here instead of rushing off?" The man seemed surprised but nodded. Yeah, that sounds good." As the cafe settled back into its usual rhythm, Lucas returned behind the counter, a new energy in his step. But little did he know, the best part of his day wasn't over yet. An unexpected surprise. An hour later, as the cafe returned to normal, the doorbell jingled. A man wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses stepped inside. He glanced around and then made his way to the counter. Lucas smiled. "Hi. Welcome to..." The man lowered his sunglasses, revealing kind, familiar eyes. It was Keanu Reeves. Lucas's jaw dropped. "Hey Keanu, you're back?" Keanu grinned. "Yeah man, I was thinking about our talk earlier. That means that I wanted to ask you something." Lucas wiped his hands nervously on his apron. "Me? What is it?" Keanu leaned on the counter, lowering his voice like he was about to tell a secret. I have a friend who owns a movie studio. He's always looking for kind, hard-working people to be part of his team. Not actors, but people behind the scenes, helping on set, organizing things. What do you think? Lucas's eyes widened. Are you serious? Like, working on a real movie? Keanu nodded. Yeah, it wouldn't be easy, but I think you'd be great. You up for an adventure? Lucas looked over at his manager, who was already tearing up with pride. Then he turned back to Keanu, his smile growing wider than ever. Yes, he shouted. Keanu laughed. All right then, finish your shift, and I'll introduce you to some people. As Keanu sat down to wait, Lucas rushed to finish his work, his heart racing with excitement. The day had started with an act of cruelty, but it had ended with kindness, forgiveness, and an opportunity of a lifetime. And it all happened because one man, in a black hoodie and jeans, had chosen to stand up for what was right. Customer harassment. Green t-shirt employee with Down syndrome didn't realize Keanu Reeves was clearly observing. Part 5. Lucas could barely contain his excitement as he finished his shift. His hands were shaking, not out of nervousness but pure joy. Just this morning he was making coffee and getting yelled at by a rude customer. Now he was about to meet people who worked on real movies. Keanu sat in the corner, casually scrolling through his phone. Every now and then a customer would steal glances, but no one dared to interrupt him. He had a presence that was both legendary and humble at the same time. When Lucas finally clocked out, he rushed over. Okay, I'm ready. Keanu grinned, standing up. All right, buddy, let's go. A ride to remember. Keanu led Lucas outside, and there it was, his sleek black motorcycle parked at the curb. Lucas's eyes widened. Whoa, Keanu smirked. You ever been on a bike before? Lucas shook his head quickly. No, but I really want to. Keanu chuckled and handed Lucas a spare helmet from his side bag. Hop on then, but hold on tight. Lucas barely needed the warning. The moment he swung his leg over the bike and wrapped his arms around Keanu's waist, he felt like he was in an action movie. With a deep vroom, the motorcycle roared to life. Lucas could feel the engine rumbling beneath him. Then, in one smooth motion, Keanu twisted the throttle, and they shot forward, weaving effortlessly through the streets of Los Angeles. The wind rushed past Lucas's face as he let out a loud, "Whoa!" Keanu laughed. You're a natural kid. For Lucas, the ride wasn't just transportation. It was freedom. He wasn't just the cafe worker in a green t-shirt anymore. He was part of something bigger. A Hollywood welcome. After a thrilling ride, Keanu pulled up in front of a sleek studio building. Lucas recognized the name immediately. It was a well-known production company. His hands shook as he took off the helmet. Is this where they make movies? Lucas asked in awe. Keanu nodded. Yep, and some of my best friends work here. As they walked inside, Lucas couldn't believe his eyes. Huge posters of famous movies lined the walls. He saw actors, directors, and crew members walking around, discussing scripts, adjusting lights, moving equipment. It was a dream. Then, a tall man in a leather jacket approached. He had silver hair, dark sunglasses, and a confident smile. Keanu, you finally brought someone cool with you, the man joked. Keanu chuckled and patted Lucas's back. This is Lucas. He's one of the hardest working guys I've met. Thought he might be a good fit for your crew. The man studied Lucas for a second before extending his hand. I'm David. Nice to meet you, Lucas. You ever work on a movie set before? Lucas nervously shook his head. No, sir, but I learned fast and I love movies. David nodded. That's a good start. We don't just hire experience, we hire good people, and if Keanu says you're solid, that's all I need to hear. Lucas felt his heart race. So, does that mean? David smiled. It means welcome to the team, kid. Lucas's jaw dropped. Keanu grinned and ruffled his hair. Looks like you got yourself a new adventure, buddy. A new beginning. Lucas couldn't believe it. Just a few hours ago, he was just another cafe employee getting yelled at. Now, he was standing in a real Hollywood studio about to work on real movies. As he turned to Keanu, his eyes filled with gratitude. Thank you for everything. Keanu smiled. Nah, man, you did this. You just needed someone to see how awesome you are. Lucas wiped his eyes and took a deep breath. This is the best day of my life, Keanu chuckled. Something tells me it's just the beginning. And with that, Lucas stepped into a brand new world. One way he wasn't just a cafe worker in a green t-shirt anymore. He was part of something bigger, something that mattered. and all it took was one act of kindness and a little help from Keanu Reeves. The end, or just the beginning? Customer harassment. Green t-shirt employee with Down syndrome didn't realize Keanu Reeves was clearly observing. Part 6. Lucas stood in the middle of the bustling film studio, his heart pounding with excitement. Everywhere he looked, people were busy, some adjusting cameras, others setting up lights, actors rehearsing their lines. It was like stepping into a whole new world, and he was a part of it. Keanu nudged him. "So, what do you think?" Lucas swallowed hard, still overwhelmed. "This is incredible. I can't believe I'm really here." David, the studio producer, chuckled. "Well, you better believe it, kid. Let's get you started." Lucas's first job on set. David led Lucas through the studio, showing him different departments. "See, movies aren't just about actors," he explained. "We need people to move props, help with costumes, run errands. You up for that?" Lucas nodded eagerly. "I'll do anything." David grinned. "That's the attitude we like." Lucas's first assignment was in the props department. He was in charge of organizing small items actors used in scenes: books, cups, pens, even fake money. It wasn't glamorous, but he didn't care. He was on a real movie set. Keanu checked in on him during a break. "How's it going?" Lucas held up a clipboard. "They put me in charge of making sure everything stays where it's supposed to be." Keanu smirked. "Sounds like an important job." Lucas grinned. "It is. The assistant director said if something is missing, it could mess up a whole scene." Keanu gave him a proud nod. "That's right. You're part of the team now." A special moment with the cast and crew. Later that evening, the director called for a break, and the whole crew gathered for a quick meal. Lucas sat quietly, still taking everything in. Then, to his shock, the director stood up and said, "Before we get back to work, I just want to welcome a new team member, Lucas." Everyone turned to look at him. Some clapped, others smiled. Lucas felt his face turn red. Keanu, sitting next to him, leaned over and whispered, "Stand up, buddy." Lucas hesitated but slowly got to his feet. He cleared his throat. I just want to say this is the coolest thing ever. I've never worked on a movie before, but I'm gonna do my best." The crew erupted into cheers. Someone shouted, "Welcome to the family, Lucas." He sat down, beaming. Keanu patted him on the back. "Told you, you belong here." A call from home. That night, after his first day on set, Lucas sat on a bench outside the studio, staring up at the stars. His phone buzzed. It was his mom. "Hey, sweetheart, how was work today?" Lucas took a deep breath, trying to find the words. "Mom, I think today was the best day of my life," she chuckled. "That's wonderful, honey. What happened?" Lucas smiled, looking back at the studio where Keanu Reeves was chatting with some crew members. "Well, it's kind of a long story." And as he began to tell her everything, he knew one thing for sure. His life had changed forever. The beginning of something great. Over the next few weeks, Lucas became a valued member of the crew. He worked hard, made friends, and proved that kindness and dedication could take a person anywhere. Keanu checked in on him often, always making sure he was doing okay. One day as they wrapped up a scene, Keanu walked over and handed Lucas something. A black leather jacket. "What's this?" Lucas asked, confused. Keanu smiled. "Every crew member on my movies gets one. You've earned it." Lucas slipped it on, his eyes lighting up. It was a perfect fit, and in that moment he realized he wasn't just the kid in the green t-shirt anymore. He was Lucas, a member of a real film crew, with a future brighter than he ever imagined. And it all started because Keanu Reeves had been watching and decided to care. The end, or just the beginning?